So we are heading to Arizona, and we are going to go meet up with Brice Butler, who was a pro football player, played for the Cowboys, and somebody who I've just started becoming close with. And one thing why I'm really excited to do a video with him is because his dad was a pro football player as well. And he's told me that basically his dad went through a lot of the challenges, learned through them, and then passed them down to Brice. So I'm really looking forward to see how that changed his career moving through football. And even now as he's transitioning out of it, just the guidance he was given and what he's doing now. So I think it's going to be a great piece. I think we're going to see a lot of discipline when it comes to finances with him. And so I'm excited for you guys to see it. Thank you guys. And please don't forget to leave comments and let us know what you think of the video. All right, so let's start with you got to play in the NFL for six and a half years. And right now you're kind of beginning to go through the transition. Tell us about what's going on right now.
Man, it's funny. It's 2020. I got let go from the Miami Dolphins in 19. And it was funny. It was like weird. It was like one of those, am I going to play again? Am I going to get another opportunity somewhere? Like I had a couple workouts. Those workouts went great, but I didn't get signed. And so as the weeks keep going, you're like, did I play my last snap? Like, was my last snap in the Saints Stadium, like in the preseason, like my last snap? Like, so like you think about that type of stuff. And I was really steady on my training. Like I was telling you a minute ago, like I would not leave. I wanted to make sure I was home. Yeah. If I got a call from my agent saying, hey, we want you to come do a workout for us, I would not go anywhere, dude, like anywhere. And so fast forward that till now, at the end of last year, I told myself, I was like, okay, like if you don't get picked up or at least like a future contract, like by the end of the year, you have to start thinking about what you want to do. Like, what your plan is moving forward, because you can't take a whole nother year to just like work out and train and like not make any type of money, or at least set yourself up for making money. Now, the good thing about my situation is I'm comfortable right now. Yeah. So like I have time to figure that out. Yeah. And with me, I've always loved the camera. You know what I'm saying? I've always loved doing, TV shows with like on Undisputed, NFL Network, ESPN, whatever. And so I was set up to go to a lot of different, things that the NFL puts on to help players transition into the sports, broadcasting, journalism, whatever world. But then COVID hit. So when COVID hit in March, I basically was like, this is what I wanted to do. I was supposed to do it in April, but I can't. Let me just go buy like a freaking camera. Yeah. And like take it out and just use it. Yeah. And then do different things. And like I had a plan to do like, stuff like this, hanging out with you, yeah, hanging out with Sean, hanging out with Stephen Malbin, whatever, going to Paris, fashion shows, whatever. But COVID hit. So it literally just turned into me doing like golf stuff. Yeah. And so right now, like I'm practicing my golf, speech on TV, my Jim Nance, all those guys or whatever. So yeah, I'm hitting the media space hard. It's tough, it's different. Yeah. But I enjoy it, man. So it's been fun.
So, you were saying earlier about your dad and him being a motivational speaker now. Yeah. He played football for over 10 years. Yeah. And you were saying how the camera's always been in front of you, yeah, right? Did you know were you thinking about this time while you're playing football? Like, you know what? I am good with the camera. I see what my dad does. I think this would be a good path for me. Mm-hmm. And were you thinking of that, or did the career end and you're like, holy shit, I have no idea what I'm gonna do?
You think about it, but it's light. Yeah. Like when I was playing, I was doing the NFL networks. I was doing the Undisputed. I was doing the ESPNs. Yeah. I was doing all like the local stuff. And then you always tell yourself like, I can do this. Like this will be fine when it's time, right? I had scheduled to go to the broadcast boot camp in 2018 when I was with the Dolphins. But we had a new coaching staff change, and I didn't want to go because it was in the first week of our like spring training stuff. And with football, like they tell you spring football is optional, but in football, nothing's really optional. Like, you have to be there, you know. And even if the coaches are cool with it, like, if you're my teammate, you're my quarterback, you're not cool with me missing the first week, right? You know, because when I come in, I need you to catch me up. And you're like, nah, like, everybody else was here, you know, catch yourself up, you know? So it was one of those things where I was like, I thought I was going to play 10 plus years. And as those years progressed, I was going to be on NFL Network as one of those guys coming in every week, you know, or every other week, or, you know, once a month or whatever, doing those shows. And then you get let go, and then you're like, oh, snap, I'm done. And then as I realized it was probably over, I was like, I need to start being proactive in this because I don't want to waste time. The more I was out, I felt like as time went with me being out of the game, like, the momentum was going to stop. And so, like, a company like Fox or whoever might not want me to come in and speak football if I'm 3 years removed versus being a couple months or a year, you know?
From the point of a career ending and figuring out what's next, do most people get to the realization like you did as fast as, like, okay, you know what? It's over. I'm on to the next, boom. Or do you have guys that kind of, you know, try to hang on and continuously go to workouts and try to get picked up for years afterwards sometimes?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a mixture of both, right? So you're a young guy, 23, 24, you'll go until you're 27, 28, trying to chase the dream, right? I know plenty of friends that have those stories, you know, trying to make it, got cut 10 to 20 times, went up to CFL, played well up there, came back, made a career. Or even one of my buddies, Keith Smith, plays for the Falcons now. The Cowboys, I think, cut him like 36 times. Like, keeping, you know, he kept getting cut, bringing back, cut, brought back, cut, brought back. And then they switched his position. It caught on for him. And now his career has just been trending upwards since. But it was it was like a 2.5 year grind of him. And I always tell him, like, with me having that small little, you know, trial and tribulation in 18 when I first got cut, I was like, bro, I don't know how none of y'all who's been getting cut and brought back, cut and brought back do this. Because, like, this sucks. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, going to like, I'll give you a 2-week schedule. Jets tryout on Monday. They cut you. The next day you're in the Cleveland Browns tryout. They don't accept you or whatever. Then you go home for a week. Then the next week you go to the Texans. Then the next morning they don't pick you up. The next morning you fly to Indianapolis, do a workout there. Like, they don't pick you up, and you go back home. And you're doing that constantly as long as, like, teams like kind of have interest in you. You're doing that constantly until that one team finally says, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to sign you. In 18, I had like 8 tryouts in like, I think 3 or 4 weeks. And I told my agent, the Tennessee Titans called me. I told my agent, I'm not going. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not going. I was like, they're probably not going to sign me. I've been to 7 or 8 tryouts already, and I'm just getting sent home. I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Tell them I'm not coming. You know what I mean? And he was like, well, I'll word it differently, but okay, I understand, right? And then it was interesting because the following week, Miami calls me, and they were like, hey, we need a guy to come play. So, like, if you come and do this tryout and you look anywhere where we think you are, like, you're going to get signed. And so that was like, to me, it was like, all right, I'll go. You know, because I'm not flying from Arizona to Miami to just work out, get my testicles punched on, you know, in the doctor's office, and then go back home. Like, this is stupid. Like, I did that like 7 weeks in a row. I was like, this is dumb. You know what I'm saying? So, so like, there's a mixture of that. And I'm older, so I played 5.5 years before like anything like that. So once 19 happened and I got let go and I didn't get picked up, I was like, I'm 29. I played 6.5 years. I'll be 30 next year. Like, a team's probably not going to pick me up. So like 19, I didn't get signed. I was like, all right, I got to figure something out. I could keep working out just in case, but like, I have to figure something out. So like, I think for me, I've always been a guy that I can look myself in the mirror and tell myself the truth. You know, I don't lie to myself. And I think that's because my dad, he played. He told me how the ins and outs is cutthroat, it's ruthless. So I was just like, I probably won't get picked up, you know what I'm saying? So get your mind prepared for that. But at the same token, if you want to still train to at least feel good about yourself, like you can keep doing it. Yeah. So that, I mean, that was me, but everybody else has a different story. And I think for me, since I was 30, I figured that when you're 30 in the NFL, they think you're old. So unless you're Tom Brady you know what I mean? Like as soon as you hit that 30 mark, if you're not a guy that they see as like super productive or whatever, or if you got a couple injuries, it's either you're still going to play or you're not going to play at all.
Yeah. It's similar for us. Talking about your dad, what type of stuff did he prepare you for when you know, as you realized that you're going to go into the NFL, him having been in it, were there kind of some moments where he said, stay away from this, do this, and how beneficial was that?
Oh, it was greatly, like it's invaluable. I mean, to have a dad that played 12 years in the league, so he obviously went through the not obviously, but he went through the Pop Warner, the high school, college, pros route. And so having him to just be able to teach me how to prepare, you know, teach me things that you should do to get ready, things that he might not have done, but hindsight told him he should have done. Like he was telling me all those things. Like when he grew up and played, lifting weights during the season was like not a thing. You know, training, like speed training and power cleaning and doing all that was like not a thing. And he always says like, he played 12 years in like the old days, like the golden eras of like getting knocked out in the middle of like a second quarter and playing again in like the third quarter. You know what I mean? And so he always says like if he had today's knowledge, today's technology like that we have, he was like, man, I probably could have played 20 years. Like, but there's a lot of things that I didn't know. And if I would have kept, like for instance, for him, he was a 4.3 guy coming out, fast guy. He ran track at Florida State. And by the time I think he said he was in year 7 or 8, he couldn't run anymore. So like the speed that he had, like he went from maybe 4.3 to like 4.6, 4.7, and he couldn't run anymore. Now he still had the technique to be able to guard people. He played corner, but he told me like I couldn't run anymore, and this is why I didn't lift my legs. When I got into the pros, all I did was upper body. I thought I needed to get bigger upper body, and I thought I would always be fast because I've always been fast my whole life. So like a big thing for me, and even today still, like you'll see me go work out and I'll skip an upper body day, but I won't skip a lower body. So like I've always just been like, as long as your trunk is good, like you can be fine, you know? So yeah, like just small things like that, even financially, you know what I'm saying? Preparing you for family members coming out of nowhere, asking you for things, friends asking you for things, how to put money away, set it aside for the future, how to look at, I guess, 1 year's salary 10 years from now rather than right now. You know, all those little things, man, like from football to finances to just how to conduct yourself off the field or on the field. He was teaching me that we were talking about this last night. As soon as I told him I wanted to play football when I was in second grade, like he started teaching me like all that stuff. Like it was funny. It's funny thinking about it, but I probably would be the same way with my son. If he told me at 7 I wanted to play football, I'd be all right, well, when you get money, 401k, put that to the side. You know, if you get this amount of years, you get vested. The annuity programs are off the chart. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So that's what my dad did, and I'm pretty sure I would do the same.
Man, that's got to be a huge blessing. Even just looking back with skating and like what we talk about, like most people don't get that guidance to even know, like, okay, look, you're gonna make a lot right now, but this has to be stretched out. It's a, and you kind of said something earlier where you were like, yeah, like, you know, I had my last snap, and then like, you know, months later it hit me like, oh my gosh, is that my last snap, right? Like you don't realize how quick it goes by. And so planning, I think, is huge. It is huge. So having your dad that was able to kind of give you that guidance, did you still ever struggle with spending? Was there some purchase that you just had to kind of, you know, get out of your system? Or did he build enough of a foundation early on where you were like, this is my mission and this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, there's small things that I would say I shouldn't have bought that because I don't use that. Like I might buy like a jacket, like in Arizona, right? I live here. I should never buy a jacket. You know what I'm saying? Like as long as I live here, right? And I could say things like that. I bought a car, my only car. I have 3 cars. 2 of them were free, and 1 of them I paid for. So the car that I drove, the truck, it was a wedding gift from my father-in-law. He had a car. He wanted to get rid of it. He just handed it to me. I gave him $1 for it. My wife's car, she's had that since she was in college. That they obviously paid for. And then the car that I have, a Mercedes, I bought that car in 2016. And that's like my dream car. Yeah. So like when I got that, I was like, I'm good. Yeah. Like I don't need anything else. I'm fine. And it's funny because I always kind of tussle with buying my wife a new car. Yeah. And I'm like, what's the point, dude? Like, you know what I'm saying? Her car runs nice. It looks nice. It's old, but it looks nice. The seats are nice. There's no rips or no holes anywhere. The radio works, and it's almost like there's no point. Like, you know, we just be wasting money like picking up a car note, you know? So I can't say, okay, I would say the things that I regret the most is my first couple of years in the league, having birthdays and going to the club and spending like $3,000, $3,500 to party with some of my teammates and like people that I don't know. I honestly, when I look back, like I look back at that stuff now, I'm like, and I never really did it crazy. It was only for my birthdays. Yeah. But I still look back at myself and like, yo, like you blew $8,000 at clubs just for your birthday. And you, like, it's your birthday. Like, people are supposed to be paying for you. Yeah. And you're paying for everybody else to have fun on your birthday. So I would say like the biggest thing will be stuff like that. I mean,
what is challenging for you when it comes to money? Is there things? I mean, what it sounds like to me is you're really good with the discipline part of money, and you have a good gauge of, like, just hearing you say that, like, dude, I went out for my birthday, I spent $3,500, right? When I heard it, I was like, damn, that's actually a lot lower than some of the numbers I hear from people going out, right? Yeah. And even that, right? I think it shows that there is a part of you that maybe is more on the frugal side. But usually when it comes to finance, or I guess anything, we're good at certain things and then we have challenges with others. Right. Is there a challenge with money that that's your kryptonite in a sense?
I think in the beginning of my golf addiction,
there it is.
Golf was like my kryptonite. Like, I couldn't hit a driver. I'm buying a new one every week. Yeah. And you know, if you buy 3 drivers and you get a certain shaft, that's like $2,500. Yeah. So yes, like when it comes to golf, if my wife was here right now, she would probably tell you it's golf. Like, you spend money on balls, you do this, you do that. So I would say the thing that I spend the most money on now is definitely golf. And there's sometimes I'm like, all right, bro, like you cannot buy that. You have 150 plus golf balls here. You don't need the new tailor-made golf balls that are about to release tomorrow, right? And it's funny, like on Thursday, I have a buddy that works at TrueSpec. He called me yesterday and was like, hey, we're doing this like PGA Tour show thing, getting prepared for the show that they have in Orlando. Do you want to come try like new equipment, you know? And I told him, I was like, I'll come if I can take stuff home. But if I can't take anything home, there's no point. Like, what's the point of me just going to the range and hitting balls, right? So like, I've tried to leverage myself more with companies to get free stuff. Yeah. And then if I need to tweak it, I'll tweak it for cheaper than it would be buying it and then tweaking it. I would definitely say it's golf. Yeah. Like when it comes to golf, bro, like I can be watching the Golf Channel and I can see something on TV and I'm like on the internet. Like I'm about to leave next week for like 2 months for like the holidays. And I know I need a lighter golf bag. And I've literally the last 3 days, I've been trying to find the lightest golf bag that's not expensive. Yeah. And it's like hard to find because like I want a nice one, I want a cheap one, but like those don't come hand in hand with golf, right? And I've been just, all right, do I want to spend $250 on that? Or do I want to spend $150? But the $150 one kind of looks like it'll rip in a couple months. You know what I'm saying? Like my son will get a hold of it and then he'll rip, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, when it comes to golf, dude, like
Yeah, I feel that. So we always talk about basically when it comes to money management, you have 2 options. You can educate yourself and manage your finances, or you can hire the education. Have somebody come in who's a professional and help you kind of set everything up and manage it. What approach did you take there?
The latter. So one of my close buddies that I grew up with, him and his dad has a branch at Merrill Lynch. Yeah. And they've been doing it for years. And then when my boy Sam, who's my age, literally got to the point where he was done with college, he was working. He was already working with them for like 2 or 3 years, and then I got in the pros. And then my dad was like, hey, I mean, you can pick somebody else to do your money management, but the Snyders are doing that. Yeah. So, I mean, you trust them, they're not going to take advantage of you. Or if they do, where they live, you can pull up on them. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. So it was pretty much a no-brainer for me to work with them. But the good thing about having them is I can call him at any time and learn. Yeah. So especially when it comes to money, right? Like the thing that, luckily having Pops blessed, Pops to teach me things. I've always thought it was interesting when you would hear a story about a player losing millions of dollars from a money manager, because I felt like for instance, if I don't know you, right, I'm not gonna walk up to you with like 2.5 mil and be like, hey, bro, like, can you just like hold my money for me and just like make the correct investments, and then like, in a year I'll just see where my money is. Yeah. You're not gonna do that. But a lot of people do that when it comes to, having a financial advisor or whatever. So the thing with them, which has been great, is I call them right now and be like, hey, like, what is this? Like, I'm learning about this. Like, can you teach me that? Like, I saw this on CNBC on Squawk in the Alley. What does that mean? You know what I'm saying? And they'll sit there and tell me, or they'll be like, hey, call me back in a couple hours. I'll explain everything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So the great thing about them is they've been there teaching me that. Yeah. And with me being out, I've been more like, that's right. What the hell is this? Yeah. What is this? I need to learn this. Do you have a book that I can read, that I can check up on? You know what I'm saying? So I would say I was really conservative with my investing and my chilling and whatever while I was playing. But now I really want to know like what my money's doing, where it's going. Yeah. If you're going there, like if you're thinking about going there, like I want to know, I want to see the information so I can know what's happening. Yeah. So if there's like another market crash, I don't open my account and go, what the heck happened to my money? At least I would know like, oh, the markets is tough. We might need to get out of this sector. Because, when you get financial advisor, they're investing money in stocks and bonds and most of the time. So like if you can at least try to know kind of what's going on, you can have a better grasp on your money and what's actually happening with it. And then with that as well, with guys like you, on the other side of it, like understanding things like real estate, things like that, where, you could put your money into something and then expect to get stuff back and why you're getting back. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think I like to know. Yeah. I like to know. I'm a why guy. Yeah. So I'm not a why not guy. I'm a why guy. Yeah. So before I do anything, I want to know why. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think with that characteristic that I have, it's helped me safeguard my money. Yeah. Because I'm not gonna just give you $100,000 without knowing. Yeah. Like I have a buddy he's a big time investor, makes a lot of money. Like he's big time, and he calls me and he goes, "Hey man, do you have 15,000?" Like he calls me like randomly sometimes. Like, hey, you have 15,000 that you can give me for this like fun thing that's going on, and you know me, whatever. If I lose it, I'll give you 20 back. He does stuff like that all the time. Big time investor. He's a baller. A lot more money than me. I never give it to him because I'm like, bro, like, if you can't sit me down with paperwork or like let me go sit in a meeting or a Zoom call to like hear what's going on, I'm not giving you my money. Yeah. I'd rather give my son $100 and let him rip it up than give you 15,000 not knowing what's going to happen with it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so since I'm like that, like I'm very, even when it comes to good investment plays, I might even just be like, you know what, I don't have enough information for this deadline right now. I can't get in on it. And it might be a great one, but like just because I don't have my full knowledge on it, I just can't do it. I'd rather sit on it than do it. You know what I mean?
There's so much wisdom that you just dropped right there that I want to make sure we kind of touch on, because there was a lot in it. One, I had a very similar experience when it comes to help. I had advisor and mentor that I basically had a relationship with, who not only kind of helped me manage my money, but educated me. So the two things there: one, don't ever let somebody blindly manage anything of yours, because something like money, I mean, this is a trust thing, right? So have trust with them. Two, ask questions. I think that's so awesome that you did that, because a lot of people go, you're the pro at money. I don't like dealing with money. Maybe it's emotional to me. It gets me fired up. So like, you just do it and just make sure it's okay. that's a scary call. Like this is like money is, you work hard for it, right? We spend the majority of our life making money. Right. So it's like, don't just like blindly let it go. Educate yourself so you know what's happening, right? Then you talked about the crash. Educating yourself on situations like that so you don't make decisions based on not knowing the actual information, and then you made a decision that's not going to play out for a positive, right? So I think that's huge. And then the last part you just talked about. When people say, give me this money, I have a great investment, try to put urgency on it, it is incredibly important for you to know all the ins and outs so that you feel comfortable to do something, even if it is a good investment. I think there's so much value there. It's a great investment. I don't understand it. I'm going to pass. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great move. So that's just the little time I'm spending with you right now. I can now see what your model and method to be successful has been. It's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, money is a very sensitive thing. Yeah. And, you know, when you see how it can tear up friendships, tear up relationships, or it can build you up, right? I mean, we all need money to do things. Yeah. Like money is the answer for most things, right? If you want to go eat, if you don't have a farm in your backyard, you have to go spend money to get food, or at least to go to the grocery store to make food, right? So, you know we need it, but for me, it's just always been a thing of like, use it as something that can help you rather than it bringing you down. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because it can bring you down.
So what's your view of money? Is it more just a tool?
For me, it's a tool. Like, I mean, I don't get moved by money. Like, I've made money. I grew up in a decent house, you know what I'm saying, in Georgia. And money stretches out there, you know. So like I feel like I need to get from this side of the country and go back where the money stretches. Yeah. It's not a thing that moves me, because I know like a lot of people have bad intentions about money and like bad thoughts about money, and they think money is this way. Like I want to be very comfortable for the rest of my life. Yeah. What does that mean for me? I don't know yet. You know, I'm 30. If I live to 80, I don't know what that is yet, right? Yeah. Yes, I would love to live in a really nice house that houses all my kids, my family, and we're comfortable there. But do I need $100 million to do that? Yeah. I don't think so. Yeah. You know, like I think I can go to Texas and buy a house that's $600,000, and it can be 5,000 square foot, and we can have a big old yard, and we can be straight, and it doesn't have to be a gated community. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I think living, you know, getting to this point where I'm at, seeing things, seeing what money can do for you, seeing what money can't do for you. Yeah. The thing that I know it can't do for you, it can't give you happiness. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have tons of buddies that have made a lot of money in their NFL careers, yeah. and they're miserable. Yep. You know, they don't, you know, they were married once or twice, they lost, you know, they have 3 kids, they're not married, they're spending money here, you know, and, you know, when you do stuff like that, like, it makes them upset. It makes them distraught, because now, like, you know, you're giving, this is not a family relationship podcast or interview, but like, you know, if you are single, you have a lot of money, and you have 3 kids with 3 different women, you're just handing out money. Yeah. So now, like, anytime somebody needs money from you, it's like, you're like, no, like, I'm not giving you crap. Yeah. But like, your buddy really might need $500 to like pay the light bill or something like that. But you're like, no, because every time you think about giving out money, it's negative. Yeah. Right? So I know, like, money, it doesn't about happiness. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So as long as my family's good, bro, and like, you know, we're comfortable, we're having fun. My kids, obviously, growing up can do, you know, I'm going to make sure they can do whatever they want to do as far as like sports, or if they want to go to some type of tech event or whatever they're into, you know what I'm saying? If I can help them do that, that I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying? I would love to have $20 million in the bank. I don't. Yeah. If I don't ever have it, I don't think I trip. As long as I can take care of my family and be okay, do what I like to do, have them do what they like to do, and we're good, I'm straight. Yeah. That's how I view money.
I think that is probably the best explanation of how you should view money. And I think too, like, just the fact that you brought up kids, it's like, a lot of times we feel like we need to like do things for our kids that we didn't have growing up, right? But then like I always think about like how it was for me growing up, and like I never thought about money. Like I always just wanted to be loved and have fun, and so I think unfortunately we focus on money as the thing that everybody's missing, as opposed to joy or happiness, etc. Right? Having your dad be just a great influence and mentor to you, you having success in football, now moving into more of the media world, which I can already tell you're gonna have great success there, being a husband, being a father, with doing everything that you've done, what do you think what's your most prized accomplishment?
You know what? I'd say, I mean, football, like, I expected to do that.
Yeah.
From when I was a young kid, I expected to do that. So, like, I honestly think it's been getting married and having kids.
Yeah.
I mean, because, like, if you would have asked me before I had my kid, I would have said, I'm in the pros. I'm playing football. Like, I'm scoring touchdowns. Like, what do you mean? Like, what kind of question is that? But, like, when you have your kids and, like, you see, like, the joy that they get when they see you, or, like, when you pop, like, when I come home and I've been gone, like, say, like, in a golf round playing all day and my son didn't go with me, as soon as he hears the key code going in the door, he's, like, running to the door. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that, like, you can't really put a value on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are things that, unless you're in that scenario, like, you really couldn't. Yeah. You couldn't understand what that means. Yeah. Like, I tell a lot of my buddies that are about to have their first kids, I'm like, bro, like, as soon as you see your kid pop out, like, you're going to have a feeling that, like, I can't describe it. So just when you have it and you get ready to talk, just tell me about that. You know what I mean? I do. So I would say it's that.
What about what do you want to pass down to your son? And congratulations, we have a girl.
Oh yeah, we have a girl. We have a girl on the way. We have a girl.
Yeah. What are you focusing on as far as how to build them to be leaders and have an all-around successful life?
You know what? I was talking to my wife about this the other day about my son, and I was telling her that, I want him to be a kid that is not scared to, like, ask questions, right? Like, I remember how I was raised. It was all about, like, respecting authority. So it was almost kind of like my parents knew I was a why guy. They knew that. But, like, as a kid, like, I used to get disciplined for asking questions like that, because it's like you're a 7-year-old kid asking, like, a grown-up, like, why do I have to do that? Like, I don't want to do, you know what I'm saying? So I was telling her that, I don't want him to be afraid of challenging, a grown-up if it comes from the right motive. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I don't want him to be in class, read something, understand it this way, and then a teacher or somebody else is saying it's this way, and then him being afraid to, raise his hand and be like, well, this is the way I feel that it's saying. Like, can you explain? Can we get deeper? You know what I'm saying? Yes. And I just want him to be a leader in that way, as far as, like, not being afraid to ask the questions, not being afraid to speak up. If you're an 18-year-old kid with an awesome idea, like, not being scared to going to somewhere or getting the right connection and bringing that idea to them and saying, like, what do you think about this? Like, can we make the next blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's a lot of different things. Like, if my son picks up football, easy, right? If my son picks up sports in general, I think that'll be easy, because, I'm going to be like, really with anything in life, it's like, hey, if you want it, you got to go get it. You got to work for it. You got to learn about it. You have to be passionate about it. You can't just be doing it half-ass or whatever and expect it to work. Like, I played in the pros. My dad played in the pros. Your grandpa played in the pros. Your other grandpa was going to be an Olympian gold medalist in the 200, but we boycotted the Olympics, the Russian Olympics. He was about to be the man. So, like, he has that. So, like, and his wife and his mom played in the WNBA. Yeah. So, like, when it comes to, like, just knowing how to go about things, like, he'll have that. She'll have that. But it's just how does that all look for them, right? Because just like, you and me, we grew up in a different era. So like when my son grows up and he's in his teens, it's gonna look way different than my teens look. Like my teens for me were different than your teens, right? Like I got my first cell phone when I was in like 10th grade. And it didn't do much. Like it just called. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it just called. Like that's it. And text you had to pay for, right? So you couldn't text, and for your children, my children, that's gonna be totally different. Like we were talking about this the other day, and I was like, when is it the proper time now to give your kid a cell phone?
I know, we're going through that.
Because I'm kind of like, I don't want my son to have a phone at 6 or 7. I don't. And if he has to have one, he's not going to have one with capabilities outside of calling mom, dad, and probably grandparents, right? So it's one of those things that we have to figure that out. Like I have to figure that out because it looks different than our childhood. And that's one thing for me. Like I'm going to have to be in the know of what's going on. I got to be hip to it, even if I don't like it. I think one thing with my parents that I think they did a great job, don't get me wrong, but they didn't ever want to be hip to anything that was going on in our time. They were just like, no, that's stupid, don't do that. Like I at least want to be hip to what's going on and then tell them, okay, that's fine. We were doing this type of stuff back then. Like that's about the same thing. I understand that. And then knowing, okay, bro, you can't do that. Like that's not the move. Or hey, sis, like you can't do that. Don't mess with that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just gonna be the relative knowledge for those two and like what their path is, how they are, and just passing down as much as I can give them. Like I know my daughter already, like I'm thinking like, yo, like you have to be rock solid, titanium skinned. Like you have to be able to be on your own. Forget these dudes, they're garbage. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like, I'm already like thinking in my mind, like I want to build her up as like a freaking, just, you know what I mean?
We're on the same page.
Yeah. So like, yeah. So like
Let's end it on this one. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self the most valuable piece of knowledge that you have now experienced being 30, what would that be?
Honestly, bro, I think about this a lot because I always get asked the question, if you could go back to 18 before you decided where you went to college, where I went to USC, would you still go there knowing what happened like for me there? And I tell them yes. The only thing that I would change would be I would tell myself, have your fun, but don't let your fun like overtake like the mission and the goal. I got redshirted as a freshman, so that means you go practice with the team, you do everything like you're on the team, but you just cannot play. You travel, you do all that, you just can't play. So it was weird for me because I obviously went in there expecting to try to play as a freshman to like, I don't play. So now like my focus kind of changed and it went from I'm about to take over as a freshman to like I'm about to be at all these parties. And I'm out of my house for the first time in my whole life. And I'm in California. These people are cool, these girls are hot. I'm gonna have fun, right? And I think for college and for sports, like all you guys out there that are sports, when it comes to team sports, college propels you for the professional level. So if you ball out in college, you get drafted high and it sets you, it just puts you up a little bit higher on the ladder to give you success. If you don't do as good as you're supposed to, or maybe you go to a smaller school and you ball out still, you might get drafted a little lower, which, it's always an uphill battle. And so for me, I always just look back and be like, man, like I would still go to SC because like the friendships that I made, I obviously got married going to SC. Just the networking, I think just knowing, I probably would have never met you in my life if I didn't go to school in LA. I mean, because I wouldn't be hanging out in LA. I wouldn't have met George Gankis, right? Our golf coach. And because I wouldn't know anybody in LA. So I would have never met him and I probably would never met you. So I would never change that. I would just tell myself, just be a little bit more disciplined when you get redshirted to know like, you can have fun, but don't let the fun be too much. Don't let it overtake because like there will be fun to be had over the next 10 to 12 years of you playing. You know what I'm saying? There will be a lot of fun. Like you won't miss out. Like I think for me, coming from where I came from, it was 4 of us total boys. we couldn't do that much, right? Like, because if I'm spending the night over here and he's spending the night over there, like, you got all this stuff to think about as parents. And now I understand that as a parent, right? And so when I left and went to college, it was like, oh, I can go spend the night at this chick's house, and like, I can just go as long as she's cool with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think I dabbled in like just doing a lot of that stuff, being up at 5 o'clock in the morning, like every day, having class at 7, sleeping in class, like, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like, and I always thinking about it now, like, how the hell did I do that? Yeah. Like, how was I able to perform on the field with like 2 hours of sleep, let alone trying to be in class? Yeah. Now I know why I was asleep, because I didn't go to sleep, right? So I would tell myself that it would just be, just stay focused on the mission, and you're going to have fun along the way. Yeah. But mission first, fun second. Not fun, mission, fun, or mission fun. Nah, mission fun. Yeah. Mission fun, Yeah.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. This was awesome. This is dope. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment. Leave a comment on your favorite, let's say your favorite piece of wisdom that Brice dropped. There was a lot. Thank you guys. We appreciate you watching and following. We will see you guys in the next video.